But at what time do you, I don't want to say responsible because that sounds kind of very, but 3 years in a row, it's not getting better. I know our kids fluctuate, so it may not be the same kids that are here. But at what point in time has there been like remedial actions for them, like, hey, this is what we need to do? These are the things, the core things that we need to be doing. We need to be as a team, and like when they have tutoring, saying we need tutoring with a purpose, because you have tutoring for 30, 45 minutes. My kid will sit there and twiddle his thumbs in tutoring. So, and as a nurse, I know sometimes I have to pull things out of my patients. I have to make them engaged and want to take part in their health. So, and it's why I became a nurse, and I don't want to be a teacher, but I feel like being a teacher, you're going to have to engage those kids and be like, okay, you're coming to tutoring, come with a purpose. You need to ask some questions. If not, you need to leave. You need to want to do something and help them do those things because, I don't know, it's disheartening. So I don't know where, because I want to help my kids, but I can't. I have a master. I don't do that. So, how do I help out? That was kind of a crazy conversation.
It's right on point. So we will have something next month. We'll have a plan of sorts together. And one other thing we will look at to maybe make it a little bit more clear, can we do some cohort data, Brian, to see? I'd like to know how many kids who started with us in 9th grade, took algebra in 9th grade, took geometry in 10th grade, algebra 2 in 11th grade. How are they doing? Are those kids, because we do have some kids who start with us and stay with us. What does the cohort data look like? So we can track individual children.
We look at subgroups too of demographics, and we look at cohort data too.
Okay.
That next month.
So we'll have a plan for tutoring or intervention of some type.
I know the data, the regulation, it's actually Department of Defense instruction that allows the principal to waive a graduation requirement if it's in the best interest of the student. It's that clear and that simple. And it's that one of the most clear DODIs I've ever read. And what my thought would be is, since there's 3 PE courses required, and given how many students are athletes doing a sport, perhaps for the kids who need tutoring, you can have a class during the day when they're at school, they're not exhausted, it's not 4 p.m. on a Saturday or after school and you've been there all day. Waive a PE requirement for those children, or waive a fine arts requirement, something that's more elective and not core, and let them have a second math class or tutoring during their school day.
Well, I'm the person who gets to waive, not the principal. Used to be, when I was a principal, we could waive.
Well,
So,
as of like 3 years ago, unless it changed.
no, it's changed.
Right.
So, yeah, it's changed. So, but it still comes to me. And there has to be a compelling reason why we would change a graduation requirement. One of the things we did do, not to belabor this whole point, but JROTC, and I'm not encouraging kids, but JROTC, you're in JROTC, it takes care of your PE credit. So that's one of the things that we were able to do so that we could encourage kids to go into this because we think there's a lot of value in JROTC. But also we know that they're doing physical things and that kind of deal. If somebody brought to me the case that my child wanted to take an extra math in lieu of taking personal fitness, I would consider it.
But
As a,
I don't think most parents have any idea if that's even a possibility. So I was thinking more along the lines of take an initiative and put that out there and say, hey, if your child wants to be tutored, if your child is struggling with math, this is what we're offering. Because I don't think parents on their own are going to know about that and going to ask for it, number one. Number two, I think tutoring is easier said than done because when kids have been there all day, especially a student who's struggling in math, they're fried by 4 o'clock. And some of these kids are participating in sports, which I think is a positive thing. So I think finding time in the day to do that, it's tutoring and extra math, is going to be very difficult.
okay, well, and you got Ms. Perry, yeah.
We do have a geometry lab class, an algebra lab class, so some are getting certified unit. And so there is that option for the extra math class. So
Right, but if the child's not doing well in that class with that particular teacher, more of the same probably isn't gonna happen.
more than, yeah, I agree.
But let's, if you have some strategies you think that we could consider, send an email to Mr. Perry. And we'll work through it, right? And I'm not, if it's been going on for 3 years, I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you, I'm sorry, and we're gonna work to fix that.
In the interest of time, pending other comments,
I just have a question, because to me, there's a big difference between tutoring and a class. And tutoring is more individual for maybe a handful of students at a time, whereas the class, you're gonna have 20 students in, and then you're teaching the class, so then therefore, that second class you're talking about having during the day for tutoring is no longer tutoring, but another class that a parent or a child would become frustrated with. So I think if you're gonna be looking into that, then you're gonna have to change the guidelines and limit how many students could be in the tutoring class per se.
thank you. Mr. Gerstner, we're about an hour and 18 minutes in. I'd like to hand it over to you to allow your principals to provide their reports, abbreviated reports if they could.
Yeah, they do have an abbreviator, but Brian, did you have anything else you wanted to report on?
Just have a few things. So, we do have winter sports coming up. They can start practice, I believe, in the middle of October, so we are busy at work trying to find some coaches. We have coaches for girls basketball and swimming together, so we're working on that. As far as current sports, it's homecoming week, so we've had a great week of fun activities. We have pep rally tomorrow. We are set to, tonight we actually have a powder puff game and the bonfire tonight. And then we also, we have a volleyball game as well tonight. So tomorrow, football against Campbellsville for the homecoming game. We had golf match yesterday for, we played Meade County here at the golf course. Our kids did well. We also had Melissa Gregory. She played in the All-A state tournament again this year. She qualified, and she won the medalist yesterday for her group, for the girls. So she's doing a great job. Cheerleaders, if you've been to the football games have been well attended so far. So kudos to the kids and parents for coming out supporting the kids. And we're about 20 cheerleaders, and they're doing a great job. So they cheered all the way through. So that's excellent. So. JROTC is doing a great job. They went to a competition. They broke some records previously, and so they got some trophies. So if you come out of the front of the school, the front office, you'll see trophies. Last weekend, they placed third overall of 25 teams, the Raider teams, and so got first place in a couple of events. So they're doing a great job, Chief Aiken, with those. Ms. Hibbard, our senior sponsor, is doing a great job with our seniors and as well as our other sponsors. They've met with Herff Jones. We have people coming in all the time for lunch, for previous school, doing a lot of things. So thanks to Ms. Hibbard and doing that and leading our seniors in that. We have study trips that we've got going on as well. And that's all I have for the high school. Thank you.
Who's coming for Ms. Joyner? Ms. Tucker? You have,
Yes, real quick, we have a report. Also, Liz Barnes will be. Good afternoon to everyone. And on behalf of Ms. Joyner, who is absent, I'm just going to go through our list real quick. On September the 2nd, the special education teachers traveled to Louisville to visit the Churchill Park School, where they were collaborating with special education teachers. They were really looking at the life skills unit. And you have a brochure that kind of tells what we're talking about today. On September the 9th, we had a 911 remembrance ceremony representing first responders were the fire department, the Fort Knox Military Police, the American Red Cross, and the Autumn Murphy Club. from Fort Knox, and our guest speakers were our garrison commander. We had Colonel Acton, Captain Cameron, and our community superintendent, Mr. Gerstner, and we had several students to share poems reflecting heroes. We had a book fair September the 7th through the 13th. We met and exceeded our goal of $3,000. We participated in a professional development for our teachers on guided reading on September the 15th. We have our Partners in Education orientation on September the 28th. And the goal of that program is to bring our community stakeholders in so that they can partner with our students to look at some of those deficit areas in reading and math. So we are targeting that data that we've looked at and looking at those specific students. And that data is based on their BAS scores, the SRI, teacher and parent input for recommendations. And we're also in the process of starting a DADS program. And we're really targeting the dads to bring them in so that they can help with some of our students just for some encouragement. So we're trying to bring all stakeholders in, looking at all areas of our students. We've got some upcoming events, our fall festival. We really want to talk about October being Bullying Prevention Month. We've got Wear Orange Day. It's called Unity Day, really, where we're wearing orange to support anti-bullying, fight against bullying, and to unite for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And we also have Saying No to Drugs. That will be held the last week of October, 23rd through the 31st. You all are invited to participate in any of those upcoming events. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liz Barnes. I'm the Building Education Technologist. I'm also going to be the chair for our CSI this year, so I'm going to be working a lot with our school data. The month of August, we exceeded our attendance goal. Our goal was actually to be 95%, and we were sitting at 95.3, so we're pleased with that. We started taking and looking at our reading scores as we're doing those. So all the students have taken the SRI, or the Scholastics Reading Inventory, and we're proud to announce that 57% of our fourth graders are reading at proficient or above, and 71% of our fifth graders are at proficient or above. So those were really good numbers to start with. The first, second, and third take the BAS, or the Benchmark Assessment System, and 62.5% of our first graders are reading at grade level, 46.5% of our second graders, and 54.9% of our third graders are at or above the grade level. So what we're doing now, and actually today in our staff meeting, we're going to be looking more at these numbers, and we're going to be breaking them down and looking at different areas of the reading to see where do we need to plug in and get these. And then our next goal is to be looking at our math scores.
Great scores. Thank you. Yolanda?
Scott is working very hard to make sure that their first 9 weeks is a productive 9 weeks. We are having our Dog Pack, which is an incentive program, but it's also connected with our Mastery Learning Initiative. Those students that have a C or above and without any behavioral referrals will be involved in some activity per grade level. Then those students that are struggling, needing reteaching, or reflection on behavior will attend a session where they can work on their grades, and teachers will be looking at them to say how else do they learn, or what other challenges might they have that we need to address. So that's happening next week on the 27th. And then our Fall Madness is a part of the intramural concept of a middle school. So students are working in teams to compete against each other. And they will be doing that on the 28th, and it's an all-day MAD event. Then we have our art club. Our fine arts program is probably one of the best I consider in the state. We had 10 families to attend the Via Colora in Elizabethtown, and students and their siblings created a 10-by-10 collaborative drawing. And out of that, 12 of our students were recognized throughout the region for their artwork, with one student, Morgan, taking second place in that contest in the region. So we're very pleased with that production. And I wanted to go back, sir, Mr. Kopp, to a question you had about what other strategies are used in schools. Our CSI plan is broken down to look at math and literacy, nonfiction. And part of what the parents that have using the system has communicated to me is that they like the way we did the tutor.com. What we did was have those individuals come into our building. We took a leadership team, and those students actually were taught and trained by the tutor.com instructors. And then that leadership team went out into every classroom, teaching the teacher and teaching their peers. And from that, the information was sent home to parents so that they could, children knew how to use that particular program. And so parents are finding that they are using that, and we're seeing a little bit of growth in the math and the reading because that program is being used.
And ma'am, was that your own initiative that you decided to bring in the tutor?
Yes, well, Mrs. Weatherington has my email and my phone number, and every time she wants something, she contacts me and say, hey, would you give this a try and design how you're going to do it? And so we work together, and so we designed that program so that it wouldn't be the adults always in leadership, it would be the children leading and teaching. And so we use that an awful lot, and our parents are telling me that they have seen results with their children in that area. And then finally, our 6th grade students are without a social skills. So one of our, without a study skills. So one of our CSI goals is to actually work on the math, the second quartile. And so what we have done there is now build a study skills program into our 6th graders so that across the board, 6th, 7th, and 8th are working on their math skills, and they get 2 math classes for those that need the tutoring. So we're working on that, okay? All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Gibson?
Good afternoon again, for some of you. Just going to highlight a few things that we've done in the last month. On September 9th, to honor Patriot Day, we held 2 assemblies at Van Voris. We cannot bring together the entire student body. There is no place large enough in our facility to bring together all 640 students and staff members. So, and rightly so, we divided up the groups by grade level, and we had an assembly for the younger children and an assembly for the older children. And for the younger children, we brought in Sergeant Major Wilson and the JROTC color guard from the high school, and we had a very nice program with them, and the children greatly understood patriotism and what that meant, as it related also to the meaning of the holiday. And then in the afternoon for the older children, we had a very special program. We had a group of children who actually helped design the program and participated in the program from the 5th grade. We had a group who sang, a child who designed a PowerPoint, and we also had, and would also like to thank HRC's Color Guard. They had a flag ceremony that was very, very moving, that brought everybody to a moment of silence as they presented the flag in the way that they do in that ceremony. So we thank them as well. But we also had from the high school in that ceremony as our speaker, the school resource officer, Mr. Brett Jackson. And he gave a very, very wonderful speech about the meaning of service to our older children. So we had a great day that day. It was a very busy day, but I think our children greatly benefited from the activities that we had. We'd like to thank our PTO for the book fair that went on last week. We had lots of people in and out of that school last week all day long, every day, and especially in the evening when we had family night. So we know it took a lot of volunteers to make that happen, so we thank them for that. We have School Picture Day on the 27th next week. And last but certainly not least, I would like to acknowledge the passing of a staff member. We did lose a loved teacher. Her name was Miss Diana Bagby, and she served in many of our schools when we had more schools here at Fort Knox, and she taught in several of them. And I did want to take a moment to acknowledge the great educator that she was. So, thank you.
Thank you. So with that very, very somber note, I think to speak on behalf of the board and that we share in the collective sorrow of the community and give our greatest condolences to those close to her. To the board, are there any other comments on the principal updates? So there are two more items. We have the report of the community superintendent and then comments from the floor. I know we've been running a little long, but I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Gerstner to provide those items to the community that you've noted.
We've talked about the opening of King Solver, and it looks to me like it's going to be pushed to next year. It looks. Doesn't appear that we're going to have the building turned over to us until November. I won't know for another week. So that'll be beneficial to us. We'll talk more about the rezoning as we move along. If you have any questions about the immunizations, please work with your school principal and your school health professional, the nurse there. If you have any questions about the immunization, especially the new one that has to do with the influenza vaccine. And the last one, I just have to give some kudos to our schools. We have something called an eligibility audit that takes place where they come in and take a look to see whether or not the kids that are going to school are allowed to go to school in our schools. And we haven't had a great deal of success here at Knox. This year we did. We brought a team in beforehand to make sure we were ready. And when the team came, they couldn't believe how good our records were. They had a couple T's that weren't crossed and maybe an I that wasn't dotted. Other than that, the rest of it was perfect. So we got some accolades from our agency this year on the fact that our folks in our offices in our schools did a good job with their eligibility records. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments of the board at this time?
Yes, I have a few comments. About tutoring that's offered from the Garrison. Of course, we have our Child, Youth, and School Services programs that's available to all eligible DOD civilians as well as our active duty school here on Fort Knox. Right after school, those programs are within our skies and minimal cost for tutoring for those students that learn better face-to-face. They are certified tutors that's available. And tutor.com, wonderful resource online. I know not everyone learn